Hey there, and welcome. Ever wonder how websites remember things about you? Well, today we're going to crack open a secret little notebook that's built right into your browser. It's a super simple but really powerful tool that makes the web just work better. Let's dive in. Okay, let's be real. You've been there, I've been there, we've all been there. You're typing out this super long form, this perfect comment, whatever. Your cat jumps on the keyboard, you accidentally hit refresh, and it's just gone. Poof, vanished. It is maybe one of the most rage-inducing things on the internet, right? Well, what if I told you there's a simple little tool built into your browser that's designed to fix exactly that problem? We're going to look at what it is and how it saves you from that headache. So first things first, let's talk about the problem. See, by their very nature, websites are incredibly forgetful. They have the memory of a goldfish. Think about it like this. Normally, a website holds info in what we call variables. That's like a fleeting thought, you know? The second you get distracted, or in this case, the second the page reloads, that thought is just gone. But what if you could hand the website a sticky note, or even better, a whole notebook, a place to jot things down so they don't get forgotten? Well, that's exactly what we're talking about. All right, so let's check out this digital notebook. This is the tool that gives websites the long-term memory they so desperately need. And it's called local storage. The most important word to remember here is persist. This stuff sticks around. It's not like those fleeting thoughts. No, this data survives a page refresh. It survives closing the browser. It even survives a full computer restart. It's there, waiting, until you or the website specifically decides to erase it. And using it is ridiculously simple. Check this out. You use a little command, item said, to basically write a note. So here, we're telling it, hey, remember, the theme should be dark. Then you can go about your day. Close the tab, restart your computer, come back a week later. When the site uses another command, item get, to check that note, boom, it still says dark. It just works. Now, this notebook isn't infinite, okay? But it's pretty chunky. You typically get about 5 megabytes of space for each website. And trust me, for text-based stuff like remembering user preferences or saving that form you're filling out, 5 megs is a ton of space. Okay, so local storage is great, but it's not the only game in town. The browser actually has a few different ways to remember stuff. So let's throw them in the ring and see who's good for what. It's time for a little storage showdown. So in one corner, we have local storage, in another, session storage, and in the third, the classic cookies. Now, the first thing to know is that local storage and session storage are kind of like twins. The data they hold lives only in your browser. It never goes anywhere else. Cookies, though, they're like little messengers that run back and forth to the website server every single time. But here's the real kicker: persistence. Cookies eventually expire. Session storage? It has amnesia. The second you close that tab, it forgets everything. Local storage is the only one here that's built to remember things pretty much forever. So, what's the takeaway? It's simple. Use the right tool for the job. You use cookies for things like authentication, proving you're logged in. You use session storage for temporary stuff, like when you're clicking through a checkout process. But local storage? That's your go-to, your champion, for remembering things like this user wants dark mode, or here's what's in their shopping cart. All right, so we know what it is, we know how it stacks up against the competition. Let's talk about where you actually see this thing in the wild, and just as importantly, some big warnings you gotta know about. And this is the cool part, because you see it everywhere. That website that always remembers you, like dark mode, that's local storage. How about when you add stuff to a shopping cart, don't log in, and it's still there tomorrow? Yep, local storage. Ever start typing a long email or a form, get distracted, and come back to find your draft is magically saved? You know the answer. It can even keep different tabs of the same website in sync. It's awesome. Okay, now stop. This next part is super important. You have to remember, local storage is a notebook, not a high-security vault. I repeat, it is not secure. Any little piece of code running on a web page can peek inside and read whatever's written in that notebook. That means if a bad actor gets some malicious code on the page, they can steal everything. So here is the #1 golden unbreakable rule. Never, ever, ever store sensitive stuff in there. No passwords, no credit card numbers, no secret tokens. Just don't do it. All right, besides the big security warning, there are a couple of other little quirks you should be aware of. First, it's kind of picky. It only wants to store plain text, what we call strings. If you have something more complicated, you gotta convert it first. Second, it's a bit of a diva. When it's saving a reading, the whole web page has to stop and wait for it. It's called being synchronous. Usually it's instant, but a huge save could make the page stutter for a split second. And finally, remember how it remembers forever? Well, that means you have to be the one to clean it out. It won't throw away old notes on its own. And that first point about it only storing strings leads us to what is probably the most important pro tip you'll ever get for local storage. To save anything that's not just plain text, you need to turn it into a special kind of string called JSON. You do that with a command called json.stringify. Then when you want to read it back, you just reverse the process with json.parse. Seriously, remembering to stringify and parse will save you from so many problems. So, we've covered a lot: the good, the bad, the ugly. So what's the one big idea you need to walk away with? Let's boil it all down to one simple golden rule. Here it is. Local storage is, without a doubt, the easiest way to give a website a memory. Simple as that. Now, it's not a database, and it is absolutely not a vault. But for its very specific, very common job, remembering things like user preferences and UI settings, it's the industry standard. Full stop. It's the perfect tool for that one job. So, from now on, when you visit a site and it magically remembers your settings or saves your half-finished comment, you'll know the secret. You'll know about that little digital notebook working tirelessly behind the scenes. Which really just leaves one last question for you. Now that you have a notebook for your browser, what are you going to write in it? Thanks for joining me.